Hi guys, I don't always agree with Yanis Varoufakis, but he did an amazing job of holding fascist wannabe David Bull to account on the Politics Live show. The former Greek minister explained the modus operandi of the likes of Reform UK and how they're operating in a similar way to right-wing parties in Italy and Hungary. Reform are claiming that they can legally push back boats that cross the channel from France. This is actually illegal under international law, but Yanis also called out Reform on so-called safe routes. Have a listen.
Yanis Varoufakis, you lumped Nigel Farage in with Viktor Orban, Donald Trump, Boris Johnson and Mussolini as anti-establishment voices that help the establishment. Are these populists selling out their voters? It was in an interview you did fairly recently with The Guardian. What is it that binds them all together?
What binds them all together is a combination of telling the people who suffer as a result of 20 years of austerity, we will look after you. And some of them do look after them, like Viktor Orban didn't treble the minimum pension. Mussolini introduced the pension, right? Together with, but at the same time, we demand from you total loyalty, no voice, no trade unions. You will give me all the power that I need in order to be a strong man, and a clear demarcation and a division of society between the wealthy white Christians and the brown people who will be pushed back. By the way, David, what you advocated there is that the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland violates international law on two counts. Yes, you did, David, and you're going to hear me out on this. Firstly, pushbacks are against the international law of the sea. If you don't know that, you're a doctor, you're not an international lawyer, check it out. And secondly, by denying people the right to seek asylum and treating them as illegal asylum seekers, you are violating every vestige of international law regarding refugees. But generally speaking, allow me just complete my
Yeah, but I must let David come
my great fear, you know what my great fear is? That the Tories are going to fade the way they're fading, and that if the Reform Party are smart enough, as smart as Meloni was or Orban was, that you may end up with a Labour Party that frustrates the expectations of the people who voted in, and then you're going to end up with an alliance between a rump of the Tory parties, the worst part, the most misanthropic part, with Reform, and therefore you are going to end up with a situation like France today, where Le Pen threatens to take over government in France on behalf of white supremacists.
People in this country are sick and tired of the two main parties. They are two sides of the same grubby coin. Go anywhere in this country and you will see the response we are receiving is extraordinary. And I'm waiting for increased poll ratings when we get the next poll. And just going back to your point, we are absolutely entitled to turn boats back under the UN Convention of 1951 and again in 1982. We absolutely are. And I made one other point.
No, you're not.
We want to open safe and legal routes for true asylum seekers, and there's nothing wrong with that. How will you know that
they're true asylum seekers if you don't let them come?
Well said, Yanis. Yeah, how can you tell whether somebody's a true asylum seeker unless you actually let them in, unless you process their claim? Bull is like the Tories trying to talk about how we only want to let in people who have a real claim, but never explain how that actually works. Now, Yanis also talked about a fear, and this is a fear that I have as well, that the Conservatives will be destroyed at the general election, and rightly so. But what will remain will become even more extreme than the current incarnation, and they'll start adopting Reform UK policies, or they'll be taken over by Reform UK itself. Now, if the Labour Party in government start to stumble, or either they don't deliver the policies that are supposed to be implemented to help ordinary people, to deal with the cost of living crisis, the NHS, schools, stuff like that. If they don't do that, then somebody like Farage or Farage himself will come along and say, look, I will do these things. You voted for the Conservatives before, they didn't deliver. You voted for the Labour Party, they didn't deliver. But if you vote for me, I will. And he's very good at speaking. He's very good at getting his message across. And, people who lent their vote to Labour this time around could easily lend their vote to Farage. This is my biggest concern. We look at this and we think of it, well, it's quite absurd. Farage becoming Prime Minister. He's a joke. No one would vote for that guy, or not enough people would. But we don't know the situation in the future. And it's possible that the disaster that Labour have taken over from the Conservatives, the disaster in the economy, disaster in public services, they're not able to fix those things. A parliament is a very short period of time in order to undo 14 years of damage. It could take generations to undo the damage the Conservatives have inflicted upon the UK. So Labour are going to struggle. Excuse me. They're going to struggle, and if they're not able to fix things, then it will open the door for the likes of Farage. And of course, the last trick is to tell people, well, what we're going to do is leave the European Convention on Human Rights. This will allow us to bring down immigration. And of course, it's not about immigration. It's about stripping away protections for ordinary people. As Yanis said in this clip as well, what the strong men, what the far right, the extremists will say is, look, I'll give you something to help you deal with the cost of living crisis, but I want something else in return. So it'll be interesting to hear what Farage wants in return. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.